One. Well, welcome in, everybody. Today is episode 6 of Real Talk by the Platform. Super excited for this episode. It is episode 5, actually. That's my bad. This is the third time I've had to re-record this intro. So again, that's my bad. But anyways, this is episode 5 of Real Talk by the Platform. And it is another bonus episode. This is going to be Who We Are Part 2. So if you'll remember, we introduced our board members doing a bonus episode, Who We Are Part 1. We're going to run that back, but this time we're going to introduce some new team members that have come onto the project. Super exciting things coming, but I just want to open this up in scripture real quick. Matthew 18:20, this is the English Standard Version. For where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, there I am among them. Hopefully this room is a reflection of that, and I'm just super excited for what everyone has to say. Real quick, we're going to get an announcement from our executive director. Noah, what's good?
Hi, just to remind y'all, my name is Noah Caudill. I'm the executive director for the Platform nonprofit. I wanted to go ahead and clarify what was the issue with episode 3 that hasn't been released yet when you go to look at it. We had some technical difficulties in the recording room when we were trying to record that night. So instead, we did a 3-part mini-series, which is up on the Instagram. You can go find that right now. And we're going to re-release episode 3. So go ahead and be on the lookout for that.
Sweet. All right. Transitioning back into some other announcements. We're going to have some new features to the website, so be on the lookout for those. And then, we're going to officially announce the new team members on our Instagram very, very soon. And new merch designs are also coming soon. So again, a lot of cool, popular stuff happening. Not popular. A lot of cool, interesting stuff that are hopefully going to be popular happening coming up. And now we're going to hear from a couple of the board members about what exciting things they've got going on. So, Seth, how's it going?
It's going great. And yourself?
I'm doing well. Thank you.
Of course.
No one asks the host how he's doing.
Are you okay?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
Starts crying, huh?
Yeah, tearing up over here. Man.
Well, I am Seth Trevino. I'm the director of mentorship for a couple of things that I'm working on right now. I have a couple of programs being built. I have 2 out of the 5 that we're planning on doing for anybody that is wanting to be into the mentor program, where it is talking more about just like how to be a better mentor, how to be blessed in these opportunities, and with scriptural evidence, of course. And we have beautiful growth as we are going to be a part of.
Quit running out of breath.
Yes, I know. I'm sorry. I'm going fast. But slow down. Hold on. Okay.
The mic ain't going anywhere.
Yes. But we have a couple of programs that are going to be built upon helping people in their circumstances, being a better listener, and also with the scriptural evidence that we will be having. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be a huge blessing that I'm being a part of.
All right, sweet.
One thing that I wanted to point out about our mentorship program is a lot of who will become a mentor is around the same age of us. And yes, we wrote the programs, but I just wanted to clarify that we have people who are leading us to help better lead y'all and helping lead us at the same time.
I agree. I've got a scheduled phone call with my best friend every week, even though he's a year younger. Helps me out a lot. Accountability is a big deal.
Right.
Me and just here. So as far as me, my youth engagement stuff, we're waiting on a couple things right now. Here's the thing, and I'm just going to put this out to our listeners and invite some communication. I will never try and reinvent the wheel, okay? If students don't need something, I'm not going to go out and give them things they don't need. So what I am looking for right now is just a way to more easily hear students' voices. So students, youth from 13 to 21 is generally our age range. Let me know where you're feeling not listened to and how we can help with that. That is my main thing right now. Noah, you got any executive things going on?
Well,
that was the rudest question I've ever asked. I've watched this man meet with thousands of people.
Do I have anything going on?
No, are you doing anything?
No, actually, the past few months I've been eating chips and ice cream every night, going to bed, because that's what I've been doing the past few nights.
But what are you watching?
Does it really matter?
It does matter.
Okay, well, there's been 3 TV shows.
Princess Diaries.
First off, stop hating. Second off, not exactly. It's been number 1, a whole lot of Gilmore Girls. Say what you want. Say what you want,
so
but Gilmore
worse.
Girls is it's different. Suits. I'm not gonna lie. I've seen the show 9 times.
Okay.
It just doesn't end. And I've watched Pride and Prejudice a few times because I've just had some spare time on my hands. But we're gonna get back into the executive things before I get bullied by everybody in the room.
Yeah. I'll give you a chance to redeem yourself.
Well, aside from meeting with some people and trying to set some things up for some big things coming your way, a lot of what I've just been doing is helping lead the team and figure out where we want to go and what direction we want to head to prepare these programs for y'all. So trust the leaders, trust the directors. We have some exciting things coming your way. And speaking of exciting things coming your way and communicating, we are going to introduce our new director of marketing and communications, Robert Cantu.
What's good?
Hey y'all, well, I'm Robert Cantu. I'm so excited to be a part of this journey as the marketing and communications coordinator. Thanks for having me on.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Okay, I've got a couple questions that are very, very important. What is your favorite television series? It can be a series of movies or like a TV show, just something in a series.
Probably Madam Secretary. It's a show about.
I got bullied because of Gilmore Girls. And you watch Madam Secretary? What are we doing? Whoa.
No, go ahead and explain. We'll give you a chance.
No, it's just it's a show about a lady who used to work for the CIA as a CIA agent, and then she becomes the Secretary of State appointed by the President of the United States, which eventually turns into her being the first lady president of the U.S.
One thing that he forgot to mention is that it is a ripoff copy of Designated Survivor, which is the better version of quote unquote Madam Secretary. But
controversy.
Give him a chance to, redeem himself.
Thank you.
And what do you watch this on?
Netflix.
Would you argue that Netflix is the best streaming platform available to us right now?
I would say yes.
Lies.
And primarily because because there's no ads. There's no ads on Hulu. I mean, there's no ads on Netflix compared to Hulu, any other streaming platforms. You got to pay extra for the ads. You pay one price and you don't have any ads, nothing on Netflix.
All I'm hearing is that you have a good job because you pay enough to not have the ads. Because for some of us, there's ads on Netflix. Like, I don't know what plan you have, but Netflix has ads.
No.
Yes.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
I'm looking it up right now.
Yes, it does. Look it up.
There's
they added
no way.
ads to Netflix.
Are you talking about YouTube right
Netflix. I'm talking about Netflix.
now? Okay. Give me a second, everybody. Are there ads?
And I know with Netflix, there's only like 13 shows they got on there. They
Literally,
keep
it's
taking
the
stuff
same
off.
13 things that they just
But if
keep
y'all are
recycling.
looking for like B movies, like movies that weren't like blockbuster hits, but were like still good, Netflix has got them.
It's true.
Oh, you are right.
Yeah,
At
you're
a lower
completely right.
cost.
I tried to tell y'all.
At a lower cost. Yeah, I guess. Well, I actually don't.
We're all living in luxury.
My mom does.
Yeah, my grandparents pay for Netflix.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be
I use all
completely
of my
honest.
parents' accounts.
Yeah,
I'm being so honest. I've had Netflix for the last 2 years, but it was because like 2.5 years ago, me and this girl were flirting back and forth. I got her Netflix information and it just stayed on. And
So you
then
still have it.
I just
Wow.
recently got kicked out of the household.
Man.
So I have to get Netflix again. Anybody want to share their Netflix password?
Absolutely not.
No.
I'll kick you off too.
We've hit max devices in my family.
I have like
so-
6 people in mine.
If y'all don't like the guy, just say that. Like, just let me know. Like, just
Not with the shows you're watching.
I thought it was family. Anyways,
Hey, all I'm saying, HBO Max takes the cake for me. Listen, you got DC Comics cartoons.
Nerd.
You got Turner Classic Movies, bro.
Nerd.
You got Cartoon Network.
you probably sit in front of the TV and watch Teen Titans Go till the day runs out.
Don't ever play with Teen Titans Go, okay?
Adventure Time.
It's not as good as Teen Titans, but Teen Titans Go captured some spirit, and I like it. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say.
That was the worst thing you've ever
So
said.
Disney
Yeah, that was
Plus
stupid.
doesn't exist with the whole Marvel Cinematic Universe. Like, are we just forgetting that that's an option?
They're all the same character.
Tony
Stark's a jerk.
no. Moving on. Let's keep asking.
Tony Stark's a
questions.
jerk. I don't want to watch 3 movies about it.
Whoa.
You're just mad that you don't have Tony Stark's money and
Whoa.
humility. What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
I'm just kidding. I love Tony Stark's arc.
Oh, okay. I thought we were gonna have to have a
But low key,
conversation.
did y'all see the trailer for The Acolyte?
The what?
The Acolyte, bro. It is a Star Wars TV show that takes place like before everything. It's like back when the Jedi were still like on top, but there's a secret like dark side enemy killing Jedi. Ooh, let me
That's
tell
pretty
you, man.
cool.
It takes you back to the Temple era. we're going to introduce this guy later, but just hop on real quick.
Hey guys, it's Malachi. I'm the assistant podcast coordinator. What's going on?
Nothing much, man. I went ahead and just brought you in real quick because you were freaking out over this TV show.
Dude, I'm so excited. I've watched the trailer and that's it, and I've literally been going around telling people about it. Like, I'm so
I'm
excited.
so glad, dude.
I'm a sucker for all, like, people communicate like, all right, man, you know, Disney Plus is just doing a money grab with all these little like 1 season long TV shows instead of making movies. Honestly, I love them. Like the Book of Boba Fett, like Mandalorian, Ahsoka. And Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Okay, that was good.
Oh my goodness,
I
dude.
will admit, Lizzo and Jack Black made a cameo in that.
Yeah,
I wish I
that
knew
was
what
funny.
we're talking
wild.
about.
It's okay.
Just Clone Wars and Bad Batch for me.
That's true.
Clone Wars
That's
is the
all
best.
I'm here
Clone
for.
Wars is the
That's
best.
hands down.
Of course, Clone Wars is the best.
Okay, well,
Okay, I just realized we aren't very good at communicating because the whole point of that little segue right before we got off was talking about our new director of
yes.
communication.
Yeah, we're going back to Robert.
So let's go back to somebody
Y'all
whose
do
job
know how
is
to
to communicate.
communicate.
Just
Maybe not
not
professionally.
That is why you were brought on. So go ahead and tell us more about why you decided to join us.
Oh man,
Was that too serious?
I'm sorry. Yes, it was just like I was waiting for like another fun question of like, what's your favorite pizza topping?
Hey,
Well,
go
we
for
can
it.
do that in a
Go
minute.
for it real
That-
quick.
No, it's okay.
Okay, never mind.
Well,
Goodbye,
Matthew.
everyone.
Boo Matthew.
Yeah,
Cut
that
him
was-
out.
of course, being asked, I definitely it took a lot of prayer and a lot of thinking about it because reading y'all's mission and wanting so strongly to just say yes upon the first approach of, will you do this? Are you willing to step into this role? I automatically was like ready just to say, give a firm yes. But I also realized that like I've done that before. I've jumped into things that sometimes, in not saying that everything I've done in my life doesn't have meaning, but in some areas, the yeses that I've said yes to haven't always had the meaning that they actually entail from the beginning.
Ooh,
You
yeah,
know?
dude.
And so
Hitting hard.
Yeah,
That was
so,
nice
like,
right now.
walking into this though, like I definitely wanted to be a part of something bigger than myself. And we said it today, like, of course we had the big serve the university day, but it was such a big deal because I definitely want to be a part of something that I get to serve and not be served, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I understand. So who brought you on?
Javen Alvarez
All
was the
right.
man that brought me on.
Sweet. So what are you passionate about? That's a big deal.
I think I'm mainly passionate about leadership
Mhm.
and all the ways that that can look. I know that for me, though, I've always had a struggle with sitting back and letting other people lead because if there's one wrong turn that they take, I'm ready to jump in and assist them. But I think learning over the last couple of years and reading books has made me even more passionate about what it means to just be a leader that is quiet and doesn't always have to say anything.
Leading from
Because
the back.
because
Mhm.
silence is such a big key aspect of leadership and what that can look like in everyone's life. So
Mm-hmm. Well, I really appreciate that. All right. We are now going to invite Malachi back on for a little more formal of an intro instead of just getting excited about Star Wars. He is currently moving to the chair. Moving to the chair. Moving to the chair.
This is slow moving to the chair.
Okay.
Welcome in. Okay, reintroduce yourself.
I'm Malachi. I'm the assistant podcast coordinator for the platform nonprofit.
Oh, yeah, because I can't edit and you can, so I'm excited. Okay, so let's do some get to know you questions real quick.
Right before we do those, I wanted to say a fun fact. So Malachi is actually one of the first members of the platform nonprofit that was not invited to be a part of the mission. He actually came, found me, heard about what we were doing, and said that he wanted to get involved and asked about it. For me, that was huge because it meant that what we were doing had enough of an impact to have somebody else want to be a part of it. And when I say that so humbly because a lot of what I see is the small little things. It's the compliments here and there. It's the, oh, I like what you're doing, but like it doesn't go any further than that. To have somebody actively reach out and willing to take whatever was given to them to be a part of something like this for me was a huge boost of confidence and a huge boost in my faith of where we're headed and what is happening. So I just wanted to say that real quick on my part right before we got to know the amazing God that sits before me.
Wow. That's awesome, bro.
Yeah, what a good
He's real good with
introduction.
compliments.
Dude, I'm definitely not crying right now.
Okay, so what's your favorite series, movies or TV? Let's narrow it down. What's your favorite trilogy of films?
I
There are wrong answers.
don't put that on me, bro.
I'm just
Do
kidding.
not put that on me. I like Lord of the Rings,
Okay.
to be honest with you. I mean, okay. I think it's hilarious because I watched a YouTube video over this because I was like, Lord of the Rings is awesome. And then I saw that on a Saturday Night Live episode, the cast of Lord of the Rings did a diss track on Pitch Perfect
Oh, man.
because they were like, Lord of the Rings is better. Like, basically the premise of this diss track was that the cast of Lord of the Rings with like white rapper names doing this diss track about Pitch Perfect, and then there's like this rap battle between the two casts. It was crazy. It was wild.
That is legend.
That is the most random thing I've ever
Yeah.
said, but
And that made you
with-
love the movies even more.
yeah, because
Okay.
it's like Pitch Perfect is also good, but Lord of the Rings is awesome.
Okay, sweet. So what's the best
So-
streaming platform?
Ooh, this was really. When I was like overhearing this conversation, I swear I could cut the tension in the room with a knife. It was crazy. But I'm a big Invincible fan. I think that Invincible is an amazingly made show. And
Great answer.
so
Can we
Prime Video.
admit that we watched Invincible?
Can we admit that somebody said Prime Video?
Okay. we'll just shoot this out there real quick. Just because we like a TV series doesn't mean we agree with all its content.
Amen. 100%.
No, never
It's
mind
true.
that. You said Prime Video.
He's
Let's talk
back.
about
He
that.
is back.
Or I can pick a different one because I watched. This probably isn't any better actually. I like The Walking Dead and Breaking Bad. So
That's like a dad show.
I am an old man. I have an old soul. Like dude, I play the banjo. Okay.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
I need to see that.
So Prime Video is your favorite streaming service?
Besides Netflix, because Netflix has Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, and The Walking Dead.
Ooh.
So
So when
And-
you watch Prime
and-
Video, do you sit with a cup of coffee?
Black.
Is
Black
it like
coffee.
is it jet
It's
black
just-
coffee
Yes.
from
It's
Trader
just
Joe's or
for-
Market Street? Like is it when you watch?
dude, don't put that on me, dude. Black coffee is the best. I drink my coffee black. Okay. I'm an old man.
Guys, after this episode, I'm gonna have a conversation with some of the team members about what it looks like moving forward.
They're being removed.
There were some
way.
things that I wasn't aware of before, I had, everybody sign papers and get involved. And
Okay, but let's talk about how there's not any like a whole lot of shows out right now that have like more than like 3 seasons.
Suits is 9 seasons long.
That's true.
Grey's Anatomy is over 13 seasons
But those
long.
are all those. Grey's
Saturday
Anatomy
Night
an
Live
older
is
show.
over 45 seasons long.
Ain't nobody want
Do we need to
like
keep going?
half of Saturday Night Live. though.
That's true.
Okay. I was
But
about to say.
so you sign on and you get committed to a show, right? Breaking Bad and The Walking Dead are 2 of the best shows ever made because they have multiple seasons, right? And they're entertaining all the way through.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine doesn't exist. Superstore doesn't exist. What are we talking
those are
about
good
right
too.
now?
Those are good too.
There's
I
a
love
comedy
those.
though. Walking Dead's a drama.
No, Walking Dead is what you watch when you want to scare your children. I'm not watching The Walking Dead, but I'm a wimp, so I can't say much either.
That's true. Have you
Why
watched
did you agree?
Sorry, I didn't mean to. Oh, that was just a filler word. Anyways, that's true. But have you watched like the spin-off shows for The Walking Dead?
I have not.
Okay, because
But
like they're
you know
getting
what they're
crazy.
on? You know what they're on?
Prime Video.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm telling y'all though, HBO Max.
It's not HBO Max.
Oh no,
Max.
it's just Max.
It's Max.
It's just Max. Don't even say that. No.
Don't say the next thing you were gonna say, which I know you're gonna say Twitter. It's not Twitter. It's X now. Don't be an old.
wasn't
Don't be an
Can't
old
even
man.
say that. No, all I'm talking about was because I know you. What else is on Netflix? 22-minute long cartoon.
Dude, the like 2000s Batman
There we
series.
go. The
Dude,
Batman from
it's
2000s.
so good. Dude, do not open that door. There's a flood behind that
We're
door.
going to have a Batman episode one day.
Well,
Dude.
fun fact, we're having it right now. Batman's sitting right in front of y'all. at this point.
I'm looking at Batman right now.
Yes, it's me.
Y'all weren't supposed to tell. Oh.
It's me, Matthew, not
I
you.
really thought I was about to
Got
get called
shot
Batman.
down. Bro, God, it's all four of us. We were
Yeah, we're
all sitting
all
here
four
like, is
literally
it me?
Batman.
It's not. It's,
Okay.
It's just.
I thought I was
it's
going to
just
get called the Dark Knight Rising, but I guess not. But before we continue going any further,
I was about to say, bringing it back.
not that it's important, but let's talk about our nonprofit. Let's get back into that. Malachi, tell us a little bit more about your heart and where you see your role going and what you plan to bring.
Well, ever since I was kind of like, so as Matthew mentioned, I know we know each other,
Right. Yeah.
right? So like pretty well, and
Yeah. Me and
I
Malachi are very close friends.
yeah, and so I was sitting there on my phone one day scrolling through Instagram, you know, as one does nowadays, and I look and there's Matthew's face, but it's associated with this random nonprofit that I've never heard of, and he's giving an inspirational talk, and I'm like, this guy just is a jack of all trades. He does everything. And so I did some research and I did some digging, and I found out that like what the mission was, and it wasn't like maybe I want to, you know, maybe I want to get into this. It's like this is what I was supposed to see this. Like this was put in place for me. And I got excited. I'm not going to tell you I didn't get excited, cuz I saw that so many amazing people were working under one name. And I was like, this has got to be something amazing that nobody put this together, because God put it together.
Mm.
And so I'm sitting here, I'm like, I have to be a part of this, whether I'm giving Matthew and Noah their water. Like, I will be the water boy for this thing. I have to be involved in this. And so as Noah mentioned, I approached him and I was like, hey man, I see what you're doing. I think it's awesome, and I want to be a part of it. And that's how it started, because I feel like I have a gift when it comes to just being real with people,
Mhm.
because I feel like I'm one of those people that doesn't really have a whole lot to hide. Like,
There's not a lot of pretense.
No, it's just like, that's just Malachi. Like, that's
Right.
just who he is. And I love getting to know people, because you see people and you see who they are. Like, I see Noah and I see Matthew, but what you don't
Hey, Seth's
know.
right there.
And
too.
Seth is here too, guys.
Whatever.
I love Seth.
It's
Robert's
it's
also
whatever.
still in
I
the room.
actually just recently met Seth, but I already think he's so cool, because we've had really spiritual conversations. Dude, it's awesome. It's awesome.
Mm.
To say that I've been thrown in with nothing but arm floaties is an understatement. Like I'm drinking from a fire hose, but it's the most amazing experience ever. But anyway, sorry for that tangent.
No,
Oh, no, that was
good.
perfect. We needed that. Yeah.
I like getting to know people, as I mentioned before, and getting to see what's behind them, like what you see every day. Like, I see a bunch of students, or I see a person wearing a blue shirt. It's like, but what is that person got going on in their life, or what has that person had going on in their life, and why and how can I get to know that person and make them feel like they're seen and they're more than just the guy walking through the mall in a blue shirt? Like, because that guy's got to have something to tell me. That guy's got to have a story. That guy's got to have something that is going on.
Y'all, we're about to break out in praise right now. Oh my God.
Something's about to get said, because
Revival times.
Yeah.
that he's saying is the whole intent of what we want to do. And he had mentioned a lot of that to me before I had even given him a full description of what we do here. And that's what the coolest part is that's where his heart was before he even heard about what we were trying to do. That to me is one of the best feelings, because it was put in place. And for me, I had always known who Malachi was, and we had always been like associated, and I kind of like, knew who he was every now and then, but I didn't really know who he was. And one night, what was it, 2 weeks ago?
Something like
During
that.
spring break or something like
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
We had a guest speaker here talking about a very sensitive topic. And something in me just got upset. Like I couldn't do it. And we had come into the podcast room because we were going to do some editing that night right before spring break. And to be completely honest, I probably sat there and bawled my eyes out for 45 minutes going on a tangent, just opening up about things that I had never said before. But that's part of the beauty of what we do here. It's the ability to be able to share your story, to be hungry enough to share your story, to want to share your story in that moment of vulnerability. And for somebody like Malachi to come along, whose whole desire for what he likes to do is to listen to people's story. For me, yes, my name is at the top, and I created a whole mission, and God helped me create a whole mission about sharing your story. I don't often get enough chances to do that, which sounds weird because you would think, since, you know, everybody looks like my name's just right there, it's like, go ahead and tell. Sometimes the opportunity is just not there. And for me to be able to sit here in front of a guy I couldn't tell you what his favorite color was and tell my entire story to, just right in front of him, that to me was powerful enough to be like, go ahead. Like, I don't need any other confirmation. There doesn't need to be a voting. Like, this is what it is. Like, let's go. That is the guy that is sitting right across from us. That is a huge part of who he is and why it was so easy to bring him on. And yes, he might just be a podcast coordinator assistant, but for everybody here, the role goes deeper.
Yeah. Amen.
For all of our team members, it goes deeper than that. For Robert last semester was the president of Student Senate, correction? Yes. Okay. Was the president of Student Senate. Still is. For me, last semester was not the same guy that I am this semester. Last semester, me was a character within himself. He could have a book written on him or be studied. He was not the same guy. But to sit there and to see a guy like Robert be in a position of humility and lead the way he led was inspirational within itself. I'm a very critical person just by nature. I like to break everything down to its core to find out if it's real or not. Admittedly, in my head, I internally broke down Robert to who he was in my head and watched his actions and the way he was, because for somebody to be as genuine as he is, I needed to know if that was real. Without a shadow of a doubt, his genuineness is real. He's very authentic. His leadership is pure and comes from a humble position. So to have somebody like that who wants to be a part of our mission as the guy who's communicating what our vision is, I want somebody like that in my corner. For me, it's deeper than just the title. It's deeper than just what you do. It's who you are and how who you are relates to what your job is. Sorry about that little tangent. I wanted to clarify why I'm okay with these people being on the team. Yes, we're a whole team collective, and some of them go into voting, but ultimately, if I don't feel comfortable with them, I can't do it. But I've had no problem with some of the people that we've had on and brought on and get introduced, because the heart of the people around me are enough to keep me going. And I don't say that enough. So I just wanted to make sure that that was clear and everybody knew the why behind their job and their positions, just for the audience as well, for y'all to hear why people are where they are, so that you don't just think, oh my God, they're introducing new team members, they must be growing. Like, yeah, we're growing, but here's why we're growing.
Yeah, exactly.
We're not just growing because we're spending thousands of dollars on marketing, which we're not. Like, the word's not getting out there like that. It's the heart behind some of these people that are going out and becoming a part of something. So this isn't, we're bringing on new team members to, you know, flex that we're growing or that we're doing more than we're doing. This is us showing that the heart is where it needs to be. And so far it's staying where it needs to be.
Yeah.
Anyways, now that my tangent's done, we can go back to Matthew.
No, yeah. I mean, that's exactly it. I mean, we're sharing stories and we're being real, and that getting out is just the best for all of us, I think. Really feeling it. So thanks so much for that. I think we'll go ahead. We have another team member coming on. Her name is Reagan. She wasn't able to be here today because, you know, we're college students and we're busy. But Noah, you've known her for a while, so if you can just introduce her a little bit.
Yes. So Reagan is a very fun spirit. She is, to give y'all context, about 5'5", 5'6", and redheaded. Life of the party. Super fun person. And so she has known kind of about my dream for this and my vision for this. We met when I was actually headed to a different school in Lubbock right before I ended up at the one I'm at now, early last year. I don't know, March, April, kind of sometime around there. We kind of met and just started talking and kind of got to know each other. She is from a smaller town. Don't really know the name of the town because it's a small town that pretty much doesn't exist, but it's still a small town. But no, she is a super fun, loving spirit and absolutely fell in love with our mission and what we're trying to do, and is fully on board with promoting us. So what she is she is an ambassador for the nonprofit. A lot of what she finds joy in is telling people about what we're doing and spreading the ideas and spreading the merch, which she fell in love with when we first launched it, which was a huge compliment. But for her heart is just in letting people know and sharing and being supportive and being somebody that's really solid in our corner to kind of not only help get y'all the message, but kind of makes it easy on us because we know we have people who are willing to advocate for us.
Yeah, I think, I don't know, just a little bit about where I am with the nonprofit right now is I just feel so creatively fulfilled, right? Like when we get talking, it's so much of just an awesome space for creativity in ministry, in missions, and just everything. I feel fulfilled and I feel blessed, and I really hope that everything continues to grow, and just I cannot tell y'all how excited I am.
I can agree with just the impact that it's the growing that I have gotten from this. I sit there and I'm making my programs and I'm just thinking to myself, like, I'm having this much leeway and nobody's telling me what to do. It's just everything that my heart is. And it's such a blessing because I'm getting to have these people where they're being real with me and I'm being real with them, and it's genuine. And God is moving in all of it. Like we sit there and I'm sitting there praying for this nonprofit and everyone is doing the exact same thing. Is how good our God is for just putting us together. When it, like in Matthew 18 where it speaks on, when two or more gathered in your name, you are there in the midst. And there's more than two of us here. I mean, we just have this beautiful, beautiful thing that is going on. The impact, like the growth I've gotten from just being a part of this, because I'm not just the mentorship program. I'm these people's friends. I'm their brothers.
Right.
And it's so beautiful. And sisters. I mean, it's beautiful to watch. So it's just been such a good impact for me too. Spiritually, for sure.
And one of the biggest things for me was dealing so much with the podcast, getting to be a part of not only hearing, but touching, being able to touch all these lives. Like people are getting on here and telling their stories and being real, and there's raw emotion and transparency involved in this podcast. Being able to be in a room with these people and hear these stories, it's like, It almost like at first made me feel like, why am I here? Like, why is it me? And then it's like I don't feel worthy, but I cannot express how blessed I feel to be a part of it.
Sharing each other's burdens, which is something we're called to do, is probably like cathartic in a way. It's just the most beautiful experience and expression of Christian community that I can think of right now. Because right, we do share each other's burdens, and some things weigh pretty heavily on us. But it's never bad. It's always like a beautiful thing to share a burden with someone else, you know?
Yeah, I think, and this is, I'm back on here, but
I remember.
I think like a little thing for me has just been like the authenticity behind this. Like that was my word last year. And coming into this year and actually being obedient and praying, and I think like the Lord just continues to show me, and like I stand in awe every single day of like his mercies, like how good they are. But most importantly, when I was praying specifically over my part to play in this mission, but this part to play in this nonprofit, I was like, God, like I know that you can give me a clear sign. I said, when I get ready to say yes, I know that I'm going to have a sensation of peace, because it's learning to discern what he wants to do with me through that, and learning the power of discerning things with the power of the Holy Spirit has definitely shown me so much about me saying yes to this was me saying no to something else, but saying yes to God for him to move through me in whatever ways that he needs me to move, even if it's me working in the background. Like I'm not meant to be flashy. Yes, I'm called to be set apart, and I may not always feel qualified for it, but the Lord doesn't call the qualified. He qualifies the called, you know? And but that's scripture, you know, like
Right,
that's literally
exactly.
in scripture. And like hearing that and knowing like the Father is so for us. Like, he wouldn't have called Noah to have this vision if he wasn't going to give him. And like, I know it's like Noah here, but like, you can also set it up with what he called Noah to do in the beginning of time. Like, like it's the same thing that happened, and it's the same thing that he's getting ready to do through this nonprofit. So I'm excited.
I remember, Seth, you read this book too, Life of the Beloved.
I did.
Henry Nouwen describes us as missionaries, like sent through time by God. And man, dude, that's
Pretty
such
awesome.
a beautiful thing. I know for me, this mission, I was reminded recently how important it is to me because I work with kids. I put on a little after school program, Mission 2540, if y'all want to volunteer, come on out. But and I had this kid talking to me who has been in trouble with his teachers recently, right? And he was like, man, me and this girl were like running somewhere, and the teacher, I was the only one she got in the face and yelled at. And dude, in that moment, it just reminded me like growing up is hard, and it is hard to advocate for yourself, and it is unfair sometimes. And just, I drove home like tearing up because just I felt so much for that kid because he's not a bad kid. I know this kid probably a little better than the teachers are, and he's not a bad kid. He's just a kid that has been hurt in life a couple times. And I think just through the programs that we want to put out and through the podcast, just giving youth and people that are growing up just a way to express themselves in a way that is vulnerable and in a way that they feel safe and listened to and heard, and in a way that other people can relate to so they feel listened and heard, that is probably like just the confirmation that I've had recently. I can't tell you how amazing it is.
Dude, yeah, that's awesome. That last part you just said I can identify with personally. Like, a lot of people grow up with like yeah, this happened to me, but like, who am I gonna tell? Like, I have this just kind of churning inside of me, and it's like, but I've like, nobody's gonna want to listen to how the teacher got in my face and yelled at me,
Right.
or like, a lot of people feel like that's not a big deal, or you're just being a baby. But I mean, we're all at our own stages of life, and the scale of things that matter gets bigger as we get older. I mean, like a little kid is like Tommy took the red block away, and I wanted to be the red block because Spider-Man's my favorite superhero or whatever. It's
Right.
like to a college kid, it's like that's not a big deal, but it's like, it's the same emotion as a college kid who is like, I failed a test and I don't understand why. Like, I got points taken off because the teacher couldn't read my response.
Oh,
It's like, it's not the same in like quote unquote importance, but it's that person is feeling the same emotion.
I couldn't have put that better myself. I mean, one of the biggest things that we want to embrace here is it's not the situation that we're looking for. When you tell your story, we're not looking for the situation where you go to hell and back 50 times in your life. We're not looking for the grand stories that motivational speakers get up on stage and they tell their story about it, and it gets people riled up and it gets people like, oh my gosh, that could never happen to me. But it could. But it could. And sometimes it doesn't have to be that situation, but the emotion of how that affected them is that situation. Sometimes what it looks like is, for instance, my 13-year-old sister could get into a breakup. And for her, that breakup could be as simple as somebody was faster than her during track. I mean, she's in 7th grade. It could very well just be somebody just decided that the new girl in school was just the newest girl that they wanted to be with. For my 23-year-old sister, the stakes are a lot higher. Cheating now looks way bigger. It now looks like you got left because he felt like he was missing out on something if he didn't. Or maybe that girl just gave him something that you couldn't, and that guy couldn't communicate. Or maybe she couldn't communicate right, so now the relationship is falling apart. See what I'm saying? The situation looks different, but the emotion is both of them feel alone. Both of them feel abandoned. Both of them feel like they're not good enough. But nobody wants to talk about that. Because the emotion is that you both emotionally are in the same place. One's just 23 and one's 13. A lot of what we try to do here is get rid of the idea that just because the age is different, your story can't relate. Because I've had kids talk to me and I'm like, I forgot what it looks like to be a child. To know that I've been through that same situation last week. Like, where I was literally gossiping about something that had nothing to do with me. But when my 13-year-old sister does, I get onto her about it. But how I feel after I gossip and how she feels after she gossips is the same emotion. When you tell your story and when you go through something like he was saying, it's the emotion is where it is. It does not have to be a big, grand story. If it is, great. We want to hear it. If it's not, cool. That doesn't mean it's any less valuable, because what you feel is what somebody else is going to feel at the same time. And I think that's one of the biggest things these days when people talk about telling their story is they get embarrassed about wanting to tell their story because they don't have one, because their parents didn't get divorced, because they don't have a family member who died, because they didn't try to commit suicide, because they didn't have an abusive boyfriend or girlfriend, because they didn't have a friend group that fell apart. Sometimes it's as simple as having two loving parents and you just didn't know how to be yourself. So that led to identity issues that you didn't want to talk about. Or sometimes it's you grew up with a mom who was just so strong that you never needed to look at a male. So now you don't know what it looks like to let a male love you. See, it doesn't have to be the big things. It doesn't have to be the grand things. It's the emotion of the situation is what compels people to tell their side of the story, because they related to the emotion of your story, not necessarily the things that you went through in your story.
And of course, Jesus is in all of it. You know, there's no putting God in a box. There's not even putting us in a box. So how much more alive and moving and beautiful and big and amazing is Jesus and his story, right? Because it moves through all of us, always affecting our stories. And just finding Jesus everywhere is so good and so important. Because, you know, sometimes we forget. I used to joke around that it's like, oh, I kind of forgot I was a Christian for a little bit. But, like, that was so real because I was going through school, just going through motions and motions. I wasn't thinking about heaven. You know, I wasn't thinking about the new earth and stuff. And so, just to that point, just learning how other people interact with God and how their relationship with him changes, grows, or even sometimes how they felt hurt in religious settings, I think is so important for just authentically sharing the spiritual experience of youth today. You know, because that, again, that's what we're trying to do, is authentically share. And for me, I'm a Bible major, so I nerd out about that. But I think it's so important, such a big part of the podcast. You'll hear me asking the question, hey, what was your relationship with God like then? Hey, what was your perception of God like back then? And we've had vastly different answers. And that is beautiful because God made us all in his image, which means that diversity was on purpose. Diversity of experience, diversity of person, it was on purpose. And that is so beautiful. Going back to the differences in our stories, I've never even told y'all about this, but Hillside Christian Church, Amarillo, Canyon, Dalhart, it's the church I grew up in, did a whole series called Don't Discount Your Story. And man, when y'all brought this idea to me of authentically sharing your story, no matter what, I thought about that. I was like, don't discount your story, because that message series was so empowering. For a lot of people, it was so beautiful for me to listen to and experience, and getting to kind of just to share more stories and tell people that it's okay to be different from each other is such a good way to spend my time right now. Because, I mean, we're college students. You know, it's easy to just get caught up. We're doing school. A lot of us are freshmen, sophomore right now. It's really easy to feel stuck, you know, real easy to feel stuck. It's really easy to feel like you're not doing anything. But the potential we have, the potential anyone has, especially youth right now, to go out and make a change just by being a little different is beautiful. And so, man, I thank the platform so much for just getting to do a little bit of that.
And as we get ready to wrap up, a lot of everything that you just heard is exactly who we are. The rambling, the funny jokes, the random deep moments that happened out of nowhere, us getting excited
that was crazy.
about hearing a really good one-liner that wasn't planned. When we go into these, we don't write anything down that we're going to say. Maybe a question or two that's like a funny question so that it doesn't slip off our mind.
Or some serious questions. I'll admit I do have some serious questions right
Just
here.
a few in there, but it's not scripted. This is who we are. The platform is not just a system, it's the people in the system. This is who we are. This is what we do. And so real quick, as we get to wrap up, I wanted to mention a few more things that we do as the platform that is just outside of telling stories and the podcast. A lot of some of what we do is we want to offer mentorship programs, like Seth had said earlier, where we help lead peers lead their other peers. It's people leading people leading broken people, but understanding that healing can still be achieved, because we'll never achieve perfection. If we were going to achieve perfection, we would just be Jesus. So it's broken people leading broken people, your peers leading peers, which doesn't have to come from a place of I'm higher than you. Because if that was the sense, I would have never attempted to launch this to begin with, because I am nowhere near in a position to say that I'm higher than somebody else. Now, there's a few things where I'm like, oh, I feel like I'm slightly more mature there, but only because I've gone through enough hurt to understand how to get around that. Like that does not qualify me to sit up here and say, I know this or I know that. But it's learning how to do community together. What does that look like to guide one of your neighbors? And what does that look like to be guided by them in return? Mentoring is not just leading somebody else, but it's getting led back. Teaching and being taught. Jesus was taught and Jesus taught. So it's giving and taking at the same time. So we want to offer mentorship programs. We want to eventually be more active in the community. We want this to be a community. The whole point of what we do here is to create a new idea of what community looks like. What does walking together look like? What does it look like to pick up somebody's cross? What does it look like to be told how to help pick up somebody's cross? Maybe it's as simple as just check on me or talk to me or have a conversation or go get food. Like, it doesn't always have to be the 3 a.m. conversations that happen. And then a lot of what we want to do in that community is take the 3 a.m. conversations and make it a 1 o'clock in the afternoon conversation.
Yeah. I mean, me and Robert had a great conversation at Texas Roadhouse one time, eating like 12 rolls per person. Like, it doesn't have to be at 3 a.m. like you said.
We want to normalize the atmosphere of being open. And it doesn't have to be, oh my gosh, I'm going to burden somebody if I tell them that something's on my, okay, burden them. Cool.
Yeah, sharing each
Carry
other's
somebody's
burdens.
burden. Do what you're called to do. It doesn't have to be some big, heavy thing. I feel like our culture has made a big deal out of depression, anxiety, and telling your story, where it's a trend to be depressed. I know for me, when I was in middle school, I couldn't talk about depression because that's when I first learned it, because it was a trend. To have your hoodie on, to have your headphones on, and to walk around being the quiet kid was a trend. It was somebody in the school. It was a niche. It was a clique. That was something to do. So it wasn't real for anybody else, but it was real for me. But who could I tell? If it's a trend, then who do I tell? Because it's not real. I'm doing it for the trend.
The boy who cried wolf.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, nobody cares, except I didn't cry wolf. It was real. But who's going to listen if it's a trend? Let's make it no longer a trend. Let's make being normal and having those conversations a trend. And one of the other things that we want to do real quick as we wrap up is we want to reach high school students eventually. That's one of our goals, because one of the things that I know for me is education is big on my heart, because in college, you combine education and life, because everything you do in college is because of what you want to do in life. In high school, that's not necessarily the case. You have your home life and then you have your school life. What does it look like to make that the same thing? What does it look like for a high school student to feel like they have the liberty to talk about things that you could talk about in college? And that doesn't always mean the weird conversations that happen between the boys group chat. Like, sometimes that's just the normal conversations.
Yeah, man, Xbox parties get wild.
Listen, I've had a few group chats of my own. Listen, I'm not
Listen,
saying
man,
I'm perfect.
Summer Xbox sessions.
Not my proudest moments.
Yeah, ain't no one need to hear that.
Call of Duty?
Even
Listen.
Yeah, dude, Call of Duty, dude, even Instagram reels now, dude. Oh my
The comments are crazy.
Hey, calm down.
Wait,
Calm down. We're not there yet. There's no need to.
My bad.
People don't need to know that part just yet. Okay. Because, listen,
Let them like us first.
sometimes when it's 1 o'clock in the morning and my friend sends me something stupid, it just goes back and forth. Like,
Bro.
it's an hour of pure stupidity that turns into 3 o'clock in the morning that ends up being like, hey, I probably should go to bed.
And that's how we reach people.
Yep. But that's more of who we are. We're not just about telling our stories. We're about creating a community and learning how to advocate for what our future looks like.
Yeah. What does Acts 2 look like now? Is a big thing. You know?
Realities all look different, but what does it look like to make them all one reality?
Mhm.
And our reality is different from adults. So how do we change our reality so that when our kids have to have a reality, they know how to change their reality? What does it look like to advocate for yourself instead of talking about advocating for yourself? So that's a little bit more on what all we do and, you know, things that you might want to get involved in or might want to help with or have ideas. We're all ears. We're we're growing.
One of the things we want to start, Malachi, you can talk more on this. Is here, I'll just pass it over. 1 minute victories. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So when I was first approached, or when I first approached, or whatever happened, you know, when I first joined, we'll do that. We'll say that. One of the assignments I got as the assistant podcast coordinator was also doing media, like getting people who don't really want to be on the podcast. Like they don't want to go that high. They just want to share with the people who, like, something that happened to them that was positive, or like share a summary of their testimony, or just kind of just to get some positive stuff out there, because I feel like, especially now, at least in my experience, it's hard to find positivity in people's lives nowadays. Like, there's always posts on social media nowadays like, oh, my dog got hit by a car, or I'm going through this, and that's good that you're getting that out there. But it's also, I feel like, a big part of some people is it's hard to find positive news.
Hard to be encouraged.
Yes, hard to be encouraged. That's a good way to put it. And so I'm doing this, kind of spearheading this project of 1 minute victories, which is me just going around and being in the community and representing the platform and trying to gather those 1 minute victories. And it can be big, like it can be, like I said, a summary of your testimony, or it can be small, like, hey, I was scared to death of this test that I was going to take in my least favorite class, and I studied for hours and I passed it with flying colors. Like, that's awesome. Especially as a college student, that is awesome.
Yeah, amen.
Yeah. And or it
Which,
can
speaking
be
of, I made an A on my New Testament test.
yeah.
I didn't.
Dude, me too. I made an A on my New Testament too, but there was 2 questions on my test. This is a random tangent that I have to put out there because everybody was freaking out. There's 2 questions on our New Testament test that were wrong. Like, the right answer wasn't an option. So it's like, we got those wrong. And I freaked out. But then my professor was like, oh, by the way, and we were like, whew, you know.
If it makes you feel any better, I had a test or quiz in Christian life today. And how he does is the quiz is he makes you read a chapter, and then he'll quiz you about something about the chapter. I forgot to read the chapter last night. So literally before class, I'm going through and I'm summarizing each section of the chapter. And I'm like, dude, I got this. He's going to ask about the entire chapter. Asked about the one section I didn't look too deep into because it was about peacemaking. And so I was like, oh, dude, peacemaking is easy. That shouldn't be a hard one. It wasn't just about peacemaking. It was about the author's perspective on peacemaking. And when you skim over a book, you don't really gather the information. So, you know, it's in God's hands. God's got me.
But see, that right there, like that is why we do those 1 minute victories, is capturing those moments. Like, I studied for like 3 hours for this test, and then the test was over, the one part I didn't read. Like, that's why we're doing it, is to capture the realness of that, because that is horrifying. Yeah. That is an awful, awful thought. Or, I mean, it can be heavy, like medium, or it can be heavy, like, hey, this is me. Like, this is something that happened to me that I overcame. Yeah. That is what we need to hear, is people, because I guarantee you, whatever's going on in your life, somebody has had a similar experience and can help coach you through that. And hearing somebody say, I went into this and came out okay, that is very encouraging.
Yeah. And then also, again, just like the small details.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I got to go on a walk today. Dude, I want to hear about that.
Walks are sick.
I want to hear about that. If y'all got a victory like that. So please just send those in to us, you know. So yeah, I think we'll wrap it up a little bit now.
Yeah. as far as I know, welcome to the new team members. Robert Cantu, our marketing and communications director. Malachi Rogers, our podcast assistant coordinator. Reagan Hayes, our new ambassador for the platform. I want to say welcome.
Thanks, man. I'm so glad to be
Sweet.
part of it.
Yeah. Thanks so much for listening, everybody. We will come back to you soon.